The question is about the transition.
Oh, okay.
Because when we go
what
out,
do you want to know about the transition?
When we, let's say we find a place where they allow us to build a city, and it's in a country like Brazil.
Yeah.
Should the laws of Brazil apply to the city?
No, we can't do that. The laws of Brazil do not apply to the city.
Okay.
The city has to have independence, otherwise we can't build it.
Okay.
The zoning, yes. In other words, the structure has to comply with building standards.
Mm.
The strength of the material can't be made of chalk, it'll fall apart. So the government will license our buildings to go up. They have to be done in accordance with Brazilian construction laws.
Okay.
How do you get out of the laws of Brazil in the transition when the government's still in
If
place?
Brazil joins with us, then we tell them what the laws are. But until that time, we're under Brazilian law.
That's right.
Until that time.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that'll take.
Okay.
If we build in Brazil, I don't know.
Yeah. You answered that question? Yeah, how does the Zeitgeist movement contribute financially to the Venus project at this point?
They do not. They don't, period, actually.
Good. Yeah, one question is about the system. What is the importance of applying the methods of science to the global social system?
The methods of science means instead of just putting up buildings, you have to do a survey first to see if there's water, arable land to grow food, and roads leading up to it. If there's no roads leading up, we can't build a city. If there's no production plants that can bend steel and shape it, we can't build a city. So we have to do a survey first to look around and see if there's glass companies, steel companies, how far away they are, then we can tell how much it'll cost. In the meantime, we have to pay for it, unless Brazil pays for it.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't know. I can't answer that.
Okay.
If we dig up funds, we can pay for it. If we can't, Brazil might pay for it, or wherever we build. I don't know.
You want to ask that question again?
Yeah. No, my question was back to the FAQ section. You know, for the FAQ section.
What do you mean by that?
The frequently asked questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Questions and answers? You mean?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Just for you to explain how to involve the scientific method with social structures and what is the
We
importance.
don't build anything until we do a study of the rain, flood conditions in the area. If we build a city and it gets flooded out, we have to see how high it is above flood level. The survey means to check all things before you build a city. If you're going to make a city with our forest fires nearby, we have to cut the trees down around there so no fire can affect the city. I can't tell you that. I have to see the land. I have to find out what kind of concrete companies they have out there. If they don't have any, how far away is the nearest concrete company? If it's 100 miles away, we got a problem with trucks and delivery. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If the glass companies are 500 miles away, it might be shipped by boat to a certain dock and then delivered. That I know nothing about. Survey means to find out all you have to find out about buildings before we build a city.
Yeah. And that was specifically about the transition period,
Okay.
right? That was my question, because once we have established the first city, the plan is to have all the producing plants in the city integrated.
Well, they will be there designing the next city after they find out what the problems are with the first city. The second city will be corrective. Whether it'll be in Brazil or China, that I don't know. When the first city is finished, we will invite dignitaries from different nations to come and see if they like it. If they like it, build 3 in China, 3 in France, 3 in England, and keep building them until we merge as one system. That's a transition of cities. The people in the cities first will be the planners, because other people in the cities can't do anything. The planners will be planning the next city. Unless the universities in Brazil want to give the assignments to architectural students. If I can go there and tell the students what I want, then the planning center will be doing something else. I can't tell you because it depends on what they agree upon. It isn't up to me. If it was up to me, I could tell you everything. But I have to go there and find out how many universities they got, how many architectural students that will volunteer to make the buildings, to draw them up in detail. And then I have to go out and get estimates on how much it will cost to bring the concrete out there. How much will a contractor charge to build the... I'm not going to put up the whole city. Contractors will bid on it. I can't tell you what their bids will be. I don't know Brazil. But if I get a bid from the United States, it may be 10 times higher than Brazil. So I can't answer those questions. Such as, and if they tell me that they will finance a city for 20,000 people, that's totally different. But if they only will finance a city for 5,000 people, the cost estimates would be all very different. Do you understand?
Yes.
The bigger the city, the lower the cost. Meaning, if you order more concrete for a big city, it's cheaper than ordering city concrete for 5,000 people. Ordering concrete for 10,000 cuts the cost. I can't tell you until I go to Brazil.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you want to know.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. That is the overall thing that I needed.
A lot of things I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what trucks charge out there. I don't know if they have cranes on to lift the stuff off. Or do we have to bring cranes out there? Are there railroad tracks up to that? It's cheaper to ship by railroad than truck. But if there's no tracks out that way, we must ship by truck.
Yeah.
Did you want to mention anything like what we were talking today about the Venus Project feels we need to start building something?
Yeah, that would be good
You know what I mean?
as well. Yeah.
Can you hear that, John?
No.
You know how we were talking earlier, maybe you should say something about how the Venus Project feels that we should start building now? That, I don't know.
Everybody in the Venus Project wants to move. But we can't move unless they finance it. Unless they get the UN to finance the first experimental city. It has nothing to do with me. They have to work on their government agencies, see if they can get 100,000 or 40,000 from the government to build the first sustainable city. The government says, well, can we build one segment of the city to see how it works instead of the whole city? Yes, we can do that. But if they like the one segment, then they have to pay for 7 more segments. I don't know what will happen. If we don't raise enough money for one city, just one segment, do you know what I mean? A pie-shaped sector, then we'll build one segment. One segment's way the hell out in the loneliness. It'll take a lot of money to bring materials out there. There's too much I don't know. Yes.
Nice. Looks like you're sleeping on the phone. I had to move it more in the front.
There's a lot of things I don't know. And they're not up to me.
But do you want to make any statement about how, we were talking about how the Zeitgeist movement...
If the Zeitgeist movement doesn't support the project, we will pull out of it. Because there's nothing we can do if they just meet and talk. If they work toward raising funds to support the project, it'll be real. Otherwise it'll just be a verbal thing, you know, people talking. I only talk to people to see if they Get out there and do something. Talk to other people. Talk to government agencies. Talk to the UN. Talk to corporations. See if they'll finance some of the architecture. They don't need to finance the whole thing. But we don't do anything. Let's say it costs $500,000 to do one segment. The money goes in escrow. We don't start till we have enough to do a whole segment. Because they only put up enough money to do 2 buildings, then it stops. You can't do anything. So you know what escrow means? It goes in the bank until you have $500,000, whatever it takes, from the quotes I get. If I get a quote, it's $3 million is what we need. But the whole city might cost $50 million or more. If we can get that from the Venezuelan government or Caracas or something, fine. But the money goes in escrow until the amount is reached that you can put up the buildings. Otherwise you can't. But first funds have to be raised for the planning, the blueprints and all that. That'll take 6 months for us to get the drawings out. But that's the first part. Then when we get the drawings out, we submit it to contractors. They say it'll cost you $10 million or $50 million to put up that whole city. Right now, we're not equipped to put up the city. But if they do it, we have something to show.
Jacques, can you please ask Martin not to put, if the Zeitgeist members don't put up some money for that, we pull out. I don't want that kind of hostility.
I want.
Can you pull that out?
Yeah.
That's
I want
not
to
good.
anything I put
Please.
out. I
Yeah.
first want to get in contact with you
Yeah.
anyway.
Because there's a lot of members in the Zeitgeist movement who are working really
If
hard,
they
and
don't,
they're working
well, how do you mean by
honestly.
working hard?
They're
If you don't do
they're
anything
reading,
to make it
they're
happen,
talking to people, they're helping to spread the words, they're going out on the streets. They're working really hard, Jacques. And Peter, it's Peter's, under Peter's direction, saying that we're not going to be collecting any money. This is only an educational organization
yeah,
to
I
help
can't
spread.
see that.
I understand that, but don't say stuff like you're going to pull out. I don't want that published.
If they don't support it.
That's too much hostility. They support it and how they're working towards it. That's still supporting it.
Okay, I don't
But
agree with you.
financially, we do need a call. Nobody has ever put out a call for finances. Peter has always objected to do that.
Well,
So-
how does he propose to get it built?
So we have to start
How does he
shifting it.
propose?
I have no argument against that. I agree, but we have to organize a change in that. But to say we're just going to pull out if you don't
The
threaten
members will
that.
say, when are you going to build the city? And I say, well, it isn't up to us, it's up to you.
I know, but we have to start putting that information out. In terms of asking for help, we haven't done that yet. We haven't. In fact, Peter
I
has done
said-
quite the opposite.
If they don't help,
I know, but I don't want to put that in. It'll cause,
No.
I guarantee you, it'll cause a lot of trouble.
okay.
Yeah,
I'll
we
just-
don't want that in there.
I'll get you all the material anyway, and every time before I put something out, I'll let you know,
Okay.
because I'll make sure I cut it at my place.
Make
you
sure
know.
they understand that it won't happen
Yeah,
unless they make it happen.
yeah,
Put it that way.
that's better. And we
Because
need
if
help
they all
with
say,
that.
good luck, build your city, when you get it built, let us know we're coming to move in.
Mm.
That's what most people do. They want to know when it's finished, they're coming to move in. We don't want that. Okay?
Yeah.
It's just like saying lots of luck for you clean up the oil mess.
Yeah.
But if you don't clean it up, nothing will happen.
Mm.
I'm very realistic about that kind of stuff. Roxanne is more tolerant.
No, I'm not more tolerant, but we haven't asked for that yet. We haven't put out a call, and Peter has done just the opposite.
They don't know if they don't support it, it won't happen.
Okay, that's what we have to tell them,
That's
but
what we
not
have to-
say, if you don't support it, we're pulling out, but you know what I mean.
No, I'm telling him that.
No,
I'm
you're
not
on
telling
tape.
that.
You're on
I say,
tape.
if they don't support the project, this is nothing.
That's right.
If you got that on film, I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's all right, but you know what I mean.
And you can either leave that on or out.
I'll cut it out.
Okay.
Yes.
Now Roxanne thinks at some point you tell them that. And they say, well, we just don't want to support it financially. well then it has no meaning.
No, that's not what people say. They want to contribute, even financially.
Okay, so whatever they can contribute
Yeah.
in escrow, you know what that means? Goes in the bank until you get the full
It's not
amount to do
touched.
the city.
But we do have to, we have to converse with Peter and get a general consensus of the direction, if he wants to move it that way. If not, we'll just have to
Just have to
look
find-
someplace else.
Yeah. Well, what would
Yeah.
the zeitgeist movement be?
I don't know, maybe just what it's doing now. That's what we have to talk about, what direction we want to move it in.
Yeah.
Because we haven't lately. Peter's been busy.
Everybody says, all right, what can we do?
Yeah.
That's what you can do.
Yeah.
And I had talked to Peter too. If he says, no, we just want to talk about it, I'm not interested in that.